My name is Lawrence Tam. I am one of the original members of Empower Network. I've been here, I guess, maybe about 4.5 years. I am an ex-engineer. I like to call myself a retired engineer, primarily because I'm never going back into that industry. I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, Hookem, year 2000. I did engineering for, 11, 12 years, worked in semiconductor packaging, worked in optical sorting, worked at a really large oil and gas tooling company, did that for a little over 7 years. Great experiences, and it taught me a lot of different things about business. It taught me a lot of things about what I really want out of life, right? And it's just one of those things you can't really say it was a bad thing, but looking back at it, I'm not a person who can stay in a cubicle, right? And I don't know if that's something that you've been struggling with or something that's really motivating you to build your business. Maybe you're a network marketer, or maybe you're an internet marketer, affiliate marketer, right? So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to give you some of the things that's helped me retire from my profession as an engineer while still being happily married my high school sweetheart. We actually met when I was in middle school, which is pretty funny. She's a year older, so I'm one of those lucky guys who was able to date someone who was a grade higher. I think that's pretty awesome, right? I didn't have a car, I had no money, I didn't have any clothes. I mean, I was wearing the same pair of jeans every day. And I guess she just saw some potential in me. I didn't really know about it until we got married, and I started searching like, man, being in a cubicle is not for me. So I want to talk to you guys who are parents, those of you who are looking to build a business, those of you who are maybe like struggling or stuck. Maybe you're in network marketing, or maybe you're just like, Lawrence, how in the heck did you make $2 million in Empower Network? Now, income disclaimer, results will vary. You can see our average earnings at empowernetwork.com/income.php. But I wanted to give you an insight to some of the things that I've been building, and I wanted it to be a little bit more of a bullet point list, how-to list. Now, some of it is not. It's more of a bigger picture, because here's what I believe. Now, this might sound interesting, but coming from the engineer, okay, I truly believe people who are ultra successful, right? They're not harping on the how-to details, right? Which is funny is I'm gonna be teaching you some how-tos, but I want to prove a point before I go into this, right? Because the thing is, most people who jump on a business or jump onto internet marketing or affiliate marketing or network marketing, their first thing is, how do I do that? How do I do that? How did you do that? Lawrence, how did you make over 100,000 in Empower Network in one day? How did you do that? Like, what is the actual process? And I believe, right, even if we told you the exact steps of what I've done, if that was possible, because I mean, it is an accumulation of dedication and hard work, but that's the key. It's the accumulation, right? It's the compounding effect of adding multiple things over time. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The how-tos, they're supporting material, but it's not the exact thing. Like this house, this 6,000 square foot house, you don't just buy it at a store and then just drop it on a plot of land. You actually have to build it from the ground up. You don't build it from the roof down, right? And so in your business, a lot of people get stuck on the how-to. Well, how do you specifically do that? Or how do you do X, Y, and Z? You know, that stuff you'll always have to be learning. That's okay. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, right? And that's not brain surgery. But the main thing I believe, we can wrap our brain on a large top-down 30,000 foot view of how I've built my business while working as an engineer, while being happily married and raising 2 kids, and then our 3rd kid came around. How is that possible? A lot of it comes down to, what is your focus? What are your goals? And how are you getting there, right? And the how are you getting there, you just need a good vehicle. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. You need a good vehicle, because a lot of people will make money on the internet, but a lot of them won't make a lot of money. And if you're talking about a lot of money, Empower Network is just one of those platforms that's very special because it can pay you very high commissions for referrals, and it can pay you a lot of referrals a little bit. I want to frame you in the fact that it's not really the how-tos, but I want to give you something because I know part of your brain right now is saying, I need to know how you specifically did it. And I want you to write back and get your notepad out, and really write, what do you really want, right? I've asked this question to a couple of my new member coaches, coaching clients in Empower Networks. Like, what do you really want? Like one client was like, I really want to make a lot of money. Like, I mean, that's cool. We need to have a good view of where you want to go and actually knowing what you really want, not just a lot of money, right? Like that is a really hard way to focus your brain. Like light focused into a single point turns into like a laser, you know what I mean? So don't be that vague, because if you're that vague, no how-to will get you to the unknown variable like that. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, right? So be very specific as you can. So I'm gonna give you some examples of what my whys and what I was driving towards and some of my newer goals, so that before I give you some of the how-tos, you have written down something pretty specific, right? We had someone who wanted to own a ranch out, a good 20 minutes outside of, the city or suburbs, have horses and have a couple sheep, whatever. Be more specific and kind of see, is that what you really want in your mind, right? So one exercise would be, if you were to close your eyes, what would be your perfect day? Like, what would it start with and what would it end with and what's everything in between? And that'll give you some clues to what you really want. Now, as an engineer, we're always like, okay, we need to finish with this X, a tool being built, a problem being solved. And we know where we're at. We need to build a process to getting there. So if you don't know where you're going, how are you supposed to engineer your way towards it, right? So I want to really focus on this, because if you don't have an exact goal or something that you can see and kind of visualize, the how-tos won't mean nothing, right? I'm telling you, I can give you the recipe, the exact kind of things that I'm doing at a very structured sandbox where you can kind of play in the sandbox, like an operation style of method of building your business. But if you don't know where you're going, you're just gonna be going in circles, accomplishing this, failing at this, accomplishing this, but you'll never actually be going forward, moving forward, right? And if we can do that, I truly believe you will hit the goals that you set out to yourself. So I would say have a 3-month, or actually have a 30-day, 90-day, 6-month, 1 year, 5 year, and kind of think about what do you really want, right? So one of the mid-range, larger goals I wanted to achieve in 5 years, I gave myself 5 years. Let's put it into perspective. 5 years, I wanted to make $12,000 a month part-time, right? Or at least less than 40 hours a week, right? I don't want to work for more than 40 hours because, how can you go play golf and go hit tennis balls and have kids and if you're working too much, right? So I was like, okay, how do I work less than 40 hours and still make $12,000 a month? But I'll work more if I have to. But let's just get to 12K, because if at 12,000, I'll have options to retire my wife from accounting, plus I can leave engineering, right? I had to structure a way backwards. This is what we want. What would it cost to get there, right? And let's chart a path to get there. But I've never made 12,000. So a lot of people, the very average or regular response you'd get from somebody is like, I want to make 10,000 a month, right? I'm like, that's commendable, awesome. Then the question is, have you ever made 10,000 in a month in your job? And I would say 99% of the people I question that to, they've never done it. Now, the good part is I've never made 12,000 in a month, right? And then when I did, the next month it was like negative 2,000. So I've never actually done back-to-back 12,000. So it was like a limiting belief I've had. But if you've never even crossed, say, 10,000, and that was your if you make 10,000, your life completely changes. You know what? I would challenge the fact and the idea that if you made 3,000 a month part-time, I think that would change your life. Let me really think about that. So you're going to have this one major goal where like you might quit your job, your spouse might not have to work. Maybe you can send your kids to private school immediately. You can take care of your parents and bring them and buy them a house. That's a mid-range goal, right? A shorter term goal is you need to chunk that down and break it down to a piece where your brain goes, oh, that's not too bad. I think we can do that. Your brain needs to be able to compute and believe you can do something. 12,000 a month for me was not believable, but I set it to stretch myself. 3,000, 4,000 a month, I've done that in my salaried position. I believe I can do it running a business, but I've actually never really consistently did it for a very long time, back-to-back months, but I've done it before. So you got to chunk down to pieces of, okay, does my brain really register that I can do that? And if you can, that's a good point where your brain's like, okay, I think we can do it. Let's go do it. Because an example is like, if you don't know how to swim and your buddy's like, look, that's a 20-foot deep like pond. Let's just jump in it. You'll be okay. Your brain's like, yo, I can't swim, right? Like, can we like take a gradual progression to learn to swim? So it's always good to have a mid-range goal like that, but sometimes you got to chunk it down, right? So let's, instead of going straight to the 20-foot depth, let's go to the 3-foot. Let's just waddle in the kiddie area for a little bit. Let's just get acclimated, right? So chunk it down. And almost always people chunk down like a $10,000 goal to like a 3 or 5,000. But if they've never made that in their job, in their current career, or in their home business, sometimes they're like, I don't even believe that, right? And that's okay, but write it down, because to get the 12,000 or to get the 10,000 a month, you got to at least make 3,000 to 5,000 a month, right? It's a natural progression. So if your brain's telling you, okay, I know what you wrote, you want to make 5,000 a month, but I still don't believe it because we only make like, let's say you only make 3,000 a month and you've never made over 5,000, especially not in the home business. You're like, I still don't believe it, but I'll write it down. The next way to chunk that down is, what are the things you need to do to possibly get to 5,000 a month? Sometimes you might chunk it down to $1,000 or $500 a month, something even smaller, right? Because I mean, think about it. If you said, I need to make $500 a month with your home business, right? What would you say to yourself? Would you say, oh yeah, done, I'll make it happen? Or it's already done, I already make over $500 a month. If your brain is like, I've made $0 in my business, or I've never even made any money in my business, $500 a month is a huge stretch, okay? Then we got to chunk it down outside of money. And that's where I would say everyone starts, but they don't realize it because we're always looking for money. And I'm telling you, once you break down the money fact and you still can't believe you can't make money, or believe you can't do it in 30 days or 90 days or 6 months, then you need to chunk it down to things that I believe, well, I'm going to show you, you can do immediately within the next 30 days. You can see progress. Because I know a lot of you spouses, I mean, you can go ahead. I mean, if you're in your office, you can raise your hand. I'll sense it, right? I'll sense it. Raise your hand if your spouse, when you first wanted to jump online, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and they're just like, you want to make money on the internet? You know what I mean? So some people are just like, you can't make money on the internet, right? And I'm like, well, Amazon's done like a couple billion, I think it's like $80 billion on the internet. You know what I mean? Amazon's going to be bigger than Walmart. Why? Because the internet is just an awesome place where people love buying, right? So you are in a great place to be. So when people buy, you make money. You're always in sales. But I believe if you still don't believe you can make money, where do we break down the little pieces to getting there?